Here with head coach Kamie Ethridge. Coach, your team's coming off a one-on-one week where you defeated Cal on Friday, then suffered a setback to number 6 Stanford. You interplay this week in a 4-way tie for 7th place in the Pac-12. So, just how are you and your staff feeling about your team as you're kind of at that halfway point here in the Pac-12 season?
Well, it's you're on a roller coaster most weeks, but it's exciting to think that we're in a 4-way tie and play a lot of the teams that we're tied with. We have them left on our schedule. I haven't looked at anyone else's schedule, how it plays out, but it's an incredibly challenging league, night in and night out, and if we aren't really unbelievably sharp and hungry and kind of desperate, we don't stand a chance against anybody. So I think it's a great opportunity for us. I think we're looking forward to, again, having 2 games at home before we hit the road again, and it's exciting to have some opportunities to improve our standing, but we also know that the challenge is just huge.
What's the message to you? You mentioned, you kind of have a roller coaster kind of up and down play here in conference schedule. What's your message to your team to try to maybe get a little bit more consistency and maybe the power through some of that up and down that the Pac-12 just naturally presents?
Well, I think our message, is worry about us the most. I mean, we're still in a building stage of being a consistent, hardworking team, and we can't beat anybody if we're not really, really hardworking. We have been inconsistent on rebounding. It's hard to beat anybody if you don't rebound in this league. We don't have, and we're not quite built the physicality piece of it, the depth and the physicality of some of the teams in this league, and so that gets exposed at times. So to overcome some of those things, we just have to be so gritty and so hardworking. And again, I think our message is let's work on that. Let's be that. Let's not get beat in those areas, because those are kind of the things that we can control. And we're spending a lot of time on that when we probably need to be spending a lot of time on cleaning up our execution and getting better on both ends of the floor. But we're doing it all at this point, and that's what I mean. We've got to dive in to fix ourselves, get consistent with ourselves, and if we do that, at least it gives us a chance to be in games.
You host Colorado and Utah this week. It's two of the other 3 teams that you're in the 4-way tie with. Only time you get to see them this season, just without the unbalanced schedule with the conference is. How big and how crucial is that for, and just not only this week, just in terms of looking ahead in terms of the conference standings, tournament seeding, looking forward, knowing this is the only time you get to see these 2 teams this year?
Well, I don't really even think about the conference standings or the tournament at this stage. I think we just, we're spending a lot of time on Colorado because they're the first one that we play. I've spent a lot of time on them in particular, and I'm just unbelievably impressed with how they're built. They are quick, they are long, they have shooters, they have a stretch 4 that can really shoot it and explode by you, and they have great size in the post. So I'm just unbelievably impressed with JR and how she's built that team. I think they're confident, and I think they're a really hard matchup for anybody, but in particular us. So we just have to look at this weekend and go, man, we've just got to put a great effort on Friday night and know that we have to walk on the court knowing that they present a lot of problems for us. But, I think our team understands that. They understand that it's a great opportunity for us to play better than we played the last time we played in Beasley. And so we're looking forward to at least representing Coug Nation a little bit better this time.
Touched a little bit on Colorado already, but Utah as well. They're going to be coming in on Sunday. A little bit of a different look to Utah as opposed to last season. They lost the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. Just kind of talk a little bit about what you expect to see out of them on Sunday.
Yeah, and maybe have the Freshman of the Year also on their team this year in Maxwell. Similar to Colorado a little bit, run a lot of the same things. So it's strange that sometimes partners don't work that way. They're very different in how that you have to scout them. But the second game that you play against, it always gets less of a scout and less of an emphasis. And again, I think everybody in this league understands that most of the time in the second game, you better just be sharp on you and that means we've got to be fundamentally good defensively. No matter how we're going to play them, we have to know how we're going to guard ball screens. We have to be a great position defensive team. We have to rebound well. But again, I'm not looking too much ahead and looking at Utah. It's a great challenge for us just to any time that you can. It's that same thing. Last week we had a good first game, and we didn't handle that success well, and kind of came out in the second half, so to speak, and didn't play very well and didn't start the game very well against Stanford. So that's the challenge of this. If you have a good first game, then how do you respond? If you don't have a good first game, how do you respond? And that's the difficulty of this league, because every night is a great challenge for you.
How important is it to get off to a fast start? It kind of seems like in the victories this season, your teams played a strong first quarter, strong first half. And then in the losses, it kind of seems like they come out maybe a little sluggish, or maybe not as ready to play in those quarters. So how important, how big is it just to get out to a fast start, especially in these league games?
Well, it's important to start the game well, and it's important to start the second half well. And again, I think that we need to rely on our senior leadership, and in part that means Bobby and Nell. And again, we put the weight of the world on those two. They have to be so good in every phase of the game for us to succeed. So again, if one of them isn't sharp at the start of the game, we're going to probably sputter a little bit. So we really need them to get off to fast starts. We need them to have a lot of concentration and leadership in the locker room at halftime to come out and be a better, beginning of the second half team. I think we've improved on both of those. I think it's hard to always say that you see improvement when you play top 10 teams in the country every night out, but I think we've done some better things on that and consistently show a little bit better focus in the second half.
And you mentioned the senior leadership there of Bobby and Chanel. They're two players. They lead the conference in total points and also lead the conference in minutes played. Where's the challenge for you, and how are you working, you and your staff working on managing and balancing that workload while they do so much and you guys depend so much on them? How are you guys working through that?
Yeah, I just need to do a better job of really getting them some minutes, and I think the bigger thing is both of those guys have been inconsistent on the defensive end at times, and I think that's because they just play too many minutes, and so we've just got to do a good job of subbing our getting them some minutes, getting them quick blows. Everybody on the starting lineup. I mean, we need to. I trust our second group. I trust our bench. I trust our depth to come in and really give us solid minutes at and they don't have to be Bobby, and they don't have to be Nell, and they aren't going to be, but they have to be really what we need to succeed. And I think I really do. Those guys have got to get some minutes on the bench, and we got to save them a little bit. But it's hard to take players like those two off the floor too.
All right, Coach, appreciate your time. We'll talk to you this weekend. Best of luck, and go Cougs.
All right, thanks. Go Cougs.